Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sheikh, when you are ready, we are ready to start with you, please. From Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat. Salli ala
اللهم صل
Muhammad.
على محمد وعلى محمد.
Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، لا سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لمقدمه الفداء. I believe Sheikh Abbas is still inshallah around with us, brothers and sisters in Islam. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Alhamdulillah, that was the grace of God, and with the aid of technology, we are here to talk against technology. Perhaps, maybe not. Congratulations to all of you on the auspicious birth anniversary of Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, Sayyid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, and the first grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam. That Alhamdulillah, this house of worshipping Imam Hassan Islamic Center is named after this holy Imam. Anytime I attend virtually or when I used to attend physically, Imam Hassan Center, Alhamdulillah, is expanding and increasing, and the community is getting bigger and with more activities. I remember the old days that with Hajj Abbas, he finally took me around when he showed me that piece of land in Anangrove. It was a barren land, and I remember, Hajj Abbas remembers clearly, I stood towards the Qibla and I called for the Azan, and Alhamdulillah, God meant it to be the place of worship, and inshallah, all the way until the reappearance of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Being this auspicious and happy occasion, allow me to share with you a gem, a word of wisdom, an amazing word of wisdom from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam as a gift for all of us, inshallah, to remember it for the night of Qadr to come. Especially, I'm sharing this with you after exhausting a lot of research. And I'll tell you why, because inshallah, when I explain it, you appreciate it more. There is a short dua from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. And if you tell me that, Sheikh, is there any dua from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam? If you are looking for a dua from Amirul Mu'mineen, there are many. Books are compiled about it. If you ask him about dua from Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, there are many. Saif Sajjadiyya is one book, Dua Abu Hamza and the like. From Imams of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Kazim alayhi salam, from even Imam Zaman Ajjalallah Farajul Sharif, that Dua al-Iftitah. But any dua from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, subhanallah, as much as I exhausted all the search engines, I could find very few supplications from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. And it's not obviously because Imam Hassan was not supplicating and invocating to God. It's because, unfortunately, history has been extremely unfair. And that's why I truly believe that we usually say Imam Hussein Mazloom, but truly Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam in that sense was very Mazloom. For the same reason, and for the same token, the ahadith that we have from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam are so limited, so few and so limited. For reasons that we have discussed it, we discussed it elsewhere. Now, this dua, short dua, that is one paragraph, and I'm happy to send it to you after, inshallah, this program, to include it as part of your amal of Laylatul Qadr, inshallah, leading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the holy words of Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. I read part of it, and I want to come back to it when we speak about the theme and the topic for tonight, technology and idol or an ideal. The dua begins with this, and Sayyid Ibn Tawus in Iqbalul A'mal has narrated. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا باطنا في ظهوره ويا ظاهرا في بطونه ويا باطنا ليس يخفى ويا ظاهرا لا يرى. Quick translation. First of all, the Imam in this part of the dua refers to the third ayah of Surah Al-Hadid, chapter 57 of the Quran, that is هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. You know how in the months of Ramadan there is a night known as, I'm just trying to speak fast and make it short because I want to get to the topic, and at the same time I feel I'm in the middle of an ocean all of a sudden. The third ayah of Surah Al-Hadid has some similarity with Laylatul Qadr. The similarity is the following. Quran clearly mentions that Laylatul Qadr is worth more than 1,000 months. Okay, as clear in Surah Al-Qadr. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says the third ayah of Surah Al-Hadid, هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. This short ayah in Surah Al-Hadid is worth more than 1,000 ayah in the sense of how profound it is. Now, Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam has taken his supplication from the third ayah of Surah Al-Hadid and verbalize it in his own word in such an amazing way. And that's why it is recommended to recite it in Laylatul Qadr. So think about this, that in Laylatul Qadr, it's one paragraph, it's not long. I will send it to you later on and you will see. One paragraph dua, not so long in length, but so deep in density and how profound, that is worth more than reciting 1,000 ayah of the Quran in a night that is worth more than 1,000 months of the human life. Yani, how rich it is, subhanAllah, what a blessing, what an amazing gift from Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam. So keep this in mind, inshallah, maybe throughout the talk, and I will explain about it a little bit further with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
All right. The topic for tonight, technology, an idol or an ideal. It's very amazing. We are talking about technology, using the technology even to assume that it's an idol, and does it mean that we are using an idol? It reminds me of a famous saying, you know, that Aristotle, that famous Greek philosopher, was the inventor of formal logic, that for the last 2,000, 3,000 years, it has been still taught. Aristotle used to say that even if one decides to rebut my logic, needs to use and learn my logic. So he says that formal logic is a tool that even if you want to say that, look, Aristotle, I'm against logic. Logic is an idol. He says, fair enough, you need to use logic to rebut my logic. I'm giving this example to tell you that it seems like this. Speaking against technology, you need to use the technology. And that's why we are here tonight. As a matter of fact, just to make it clear, I'm not sitting here speaking about technology. This is impossible. And I don't think anyone with a sound mind would ever do that. We want to, inshallah, talk about the right way of using it and discovering the negative, the downside of it. The Almighty God in the Quran says in Surah Luqman, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, ألم تروا أن الله سخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. Don't you see that the Almighty God has enslaved and captured you, and it has brought under your subjugation or subjugated for you whatever that is in the heavens and whatever that is in earth. That means, according to this ayah of the Quran, human science and technology has not reached even a quarter of its journey. We are still babies in the journey of science and technology, of what we can achieve according to this ayah of the Quran, because we have not been able to still capture and subjugate the heavens and the stars and the galaxies, and even beyond this physical world. We have still a long way to go. The story of technology, that technology, brothers and sisters, is nothing other than science and human knowledge applied into human life. Hence, we call it technology. The story of technology begins with the story of the creation of man, Adam, as the first human being on earth. Referring to the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. Inshallah, you remember the story that when the Almighty God wanted to create man on earth, he's talking to the angels that I'm about to create a vicegerent. Think about this topic, vicegerent, Khalifatullah on earth. Angels look at the negative side of technology. I'm paraphrasing it. looking at the negative side of technology, they said, what is this what that you want to create someone who is going to manufacture and make atomic bombing, killing innocent people. You want to create a human being that is going to use and abuse this technology for the destruction of environment and all the rest of it. So the angels, they were looking at the negative side of technology, so to speak. The Almighty God says, "Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun." It's not the whole story. This is part of the story. And then still there is what I know that you don't know. And they, of course, surrounded. And when the Almighty God taught Adam, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, all the names that Adam learned, and then eventually angels, when they saw the knowledge, the technology, the knowledge. Of course, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the knowledge that Adam was taught is today's technology. Astaghfirullah. This is nothing compared with the knowledge that Adam has learned. But part of it, undoubtedly, is the technology, is human science and technology. A small portion of it, a very small portion of it. All right. So angels all prostrated before Adam, except Iblis, as Quran says. It is my interpretation. I'm not saying that this is definitely the reason, because there are so many interpretations. Why is it that this device is called iPhone or Apple? Why this Apple? As you know, that one of the four biggest technology companies in the world is Apple company. Now, the logo of Apple, have you noticed what it is? It's a beaten apple, and hence it's called Apple. But why beaten apple? Why one part of it is beaten? Maybe I have a strong feeling that those who were behind this invention, they had some, obviously coming from the Western lifestyle, Western culture, familiar with that biblical story. That, long story short, in the book of Genesis, according to the narration of the Bible, that the tree, the forbidden tree, was a tree of knowledge. And because Adam had a bite of it, was expelled from the Garden of Eden. Now, and according to Judeo-Christian tradition, it was an apple that Adam bit and was biting from it. So it became a bitten apple. Yeah, and perhaps the inventors of Apple technology want to say that that forbidden tree, we have now access to it. That forbidden apple, that we have a bite of it. We have only a bite of it. I'm not confirming, I'm not condoning this, but I'm telling you that even today's technology has some traces or some interpretation or misinterpretation from the biblical background. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, does He allow us to use and utilize and discover technology? The end of it, of course, is one of the purposes of the creation. وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّنْ قُوَّةٍ. Utilize the technology in as far as you can, that you cannot even imagine. Today, I'm sitting here in my studio, in my office in Isfahan, communicating with you in Sydney and God knows where else in the world. As soon as I finish with you, I'm flying to Dubai. I have a lecture in Dubai. From there, I'm flying to Canada. Yani, if somebody 200 years ago was claiming this, they were saying that he's saints, he's one of the awliya, doing tayyul arz, tayyul sama. Today we can do this. So the history of human technology, brothers and sisters, began with the history of man on earth. And it continues as man progresses. Bikes, automated walking. Cars, vehicles, automated horses, donkeys, and camels. Drones, automated pilot fighters, and aircrafts, and that's how it continues. And it's still God knows how far. And I believe, according to the teachings of the Quran, as I told you, we are in very, very early stages of what technology can definitely can achieve. Now, technology has, of course, its positives and negatives, and pros and cons. The question is that, are we allowed to use technology in the first place? It may sound ironic to ask this question, but we want to build it and come up very quickly. Some 60 years ago, I don't remember, I remember I used to hear it from my teachers. One of my teachers in practical rahmatullah who was a classmate of Shaykh Mutahari. I'm quoting this indirectly from Shaykh. Shaykh Mutahari was a very
not in a negative sense of it, very broad-minded, very liberal scholar 50 years ago, not today, 50, 60 years ago. Imagine this, we are in 2020 and I do not know of, if you know any, introduce them to me. I do not know of in the year 2020 any scholar, any sheikh who is writing articles in Women's Day magazine. Do you? Shahid Mutahari, 50 years ago, he used to write articles and in today's in Women's Day magazine. Women's Day magazine at the time of Shahid Mutahari in Iran was by and large similar to Women's Day magazine of these days. God knows what type of information. And that's why he was bombarded and criticized by his colleagues. What are you writing? Where are you writing? Where do you contribute? This is a filthy magazine. And Shahid Mutahari's logic argument was this, is that, look, these girls who opened the Women's Day magazine, they are not coming to the masjid. Where am I going to find them? I write my articles, and he wrote a series of articles on the status of women in Islam that was published later on as a book and is translated in English as well. Initially, these were articles of Shahid Mutahari in that so-called Women's Day magazine. Another thing is that Shahid Mutahari was using microphone. Today, you may be laughing at me, but put yourself in the shoes of people, especially conservative people in Iran 60 years ago. Microphone amplifiers have just come to Iran. Shahid Mutahari was using it. Again, colleagues criticized him. Why are you using this? This is an idol come from the West. Shahid Mutahari says that I went to one of my colleagues who criticized me, and he was wearing glasses. I said to him that, Sheikhana, why do you wear glasses? He says, why? I said, this is an idol, take it off. He said, why? He said, because also this has come from the West, this is an idol. And there was the difference between wearing glasses and using the microphone. What the glasses does is magnifying the font for you so that you can read it easily. He said, yes. He said, well, microphone also, an amplifier amplifies my voice so that my audience can hear me. What's the problem with that? Bring these to about maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when Facebook had just come. How many of us, and I was among them, said that we are not going to go to Facebook. We don't want to use the Facebook. Facebook is not the right place for. But steady, now look at these programs, Islamic programs are all broadcast on Facebook. Now, the question is, are we on the right track? Are we using technology in the, are we supposed to use Facebook, for example? Sorry to mention the name to be very clear. Or we are supposed to stay away from it. Staying away, I think it's everybody understand that you cannot avoid technology. In today's world, you cannot avoid technology. In fact, if you avoid it, you miss out a lot of the opportunities. And it's against the principle and the teachings of the Quran. Technology, brothers and sisters, is like dunya. Dunya has a positive side and a negative side. It depends on how you use or abuse it. Let me tell you. And again, I paraphrase this hadith to apply to technology. It's in Nahj al-Balagha. Sayyid Rabi rahmatullah alayhi narrates a dialogue between Amir al-Mu'minin, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and a supposedly a pious but ignorant person, so-called pious, not real pious, so-called pious. You know, those who look very religious, but they are not really, and are ignorant also. They mean well, but they don't know much. Imam Ali, the narration starts with this, it's in Nahj al-Balagha. قد سمع رجلا يضم الدنيا. Amir al-Mu'minin heard the man that is blaming dunya. Oh, dunya this, dunya that. I paraphrase it. Oh, internet, I don't want internet. Get rid of mobile, get rid of all this technology. These are the idols of shaitan. Imam Ali alayhi salam looked at him and says, أيها المغتر بالدنيا والضام. You are deceived by dunya and you are blaming dunya. You don't talk against dunya in front of someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib, says Amir al-Mu'minin. Throughout Nahj al-Balagha, Imam Ali alayhi salam speaks against dunya, but it speaks about temptation of dunya. It speaks against the negative side of dunya. The same Amir al-Mu'minin, he's so critical of negative aspects of dunya, In this dialogue, Imam starts praising dunya. Imam says that, why do you say that technology deceives? Technology breaks the families. Technology is an idol that people are worshiping. In Iran, the most famous telecommunication company is called Hamrah Awal. Hamrah Awal literally means your first companion. They say they call mobile Hamrah Awal because you wake up with it, you go to work with it, you drive along, you have it with you when you are driving. I don't know, you open your office and it's with you. You see that the office is on your desk. You come back home, you go shopping with it. You go often, some people, I don't know, funny, they even go to the bathroom with it. They sleep with it. And when is the time that you are not with your mobile, your first companion and last companion? In America, you know that what we call it mobile, they call it cell phone. They say, I say that. Of course, that's not the reason. It's just like we are imprisoned by this mobile. Quran says, "Sakhara lakum." You're supposed to subjugate it, not to be subjugated by it. A couple of years ago, there was an article in Sydney Morning Herald, still I have it, about digital detox. And he was saying that if you want to see how addicted you are to technology, to internet, go to the bush without any technology, especially with no internet. Enjoy the company of your family. Let me see how long can you survive. 10 of the TV, 10 of internet and everything, and just live like a very primitive lifestyle. Let me see how long can you survive. And this is, they call it, is so necessary as a digital detoxification time to time. And only then, you will know how addicted you are to technology. We call it in today's pandemic a global disaster. I always say that, wallah, this is not a global disaster. This is a very, very easy test, this pandemic. Would you know, the bigger test would be that even if there was no virus around, let's say that if there was no internet around the world, as all countries affected by COVID-19, imagine that the globe would be affected by the loss of internet, only internet. No more Facebook, no more YouTube, no more email, no more WhatsApp, you name it. No more internet, man. Lockdown from internet. How would you and I live our life? It would be so boring. Life would be so boring. And we had lost, and it continues like this. Honestly, we are losing our skills of family socialization or interacting with real people rather than virtual people. So the issue is about how I'm able to tame it, how I'm able to use it wisely. Otherwise, this technology has amazing benefits. That was some negative side. There are some amazing benefits. You know that perhaps I'm the right person to speak about it, because for the last 10 years, exactly, actually, almost 10 years. Next month will be 10 years complete. For the last 10 years of my life, I've been a virtual sheikh. As I told you that 1 minute I'm here, an hour later, another part of the world. It's amazing how this technology has served me, inshallah, for the purpose of serving Islam. Things that I could not imagine before that. Can you believe that I visited a brother in a small town in Sweden, in the hospital, and he's just out of the theater, had the surgery, and he wants to ask some religious jurisprudential questions. Sheikh, how am I supposed to make my wudu? Via Skype video, I see him. He shows me the wound exactly, show the situation. I visit him, and face to face, I explain to him. Even if I was living in Sweden, I doubted if I would be able to go to that town to visit him in that hospital. From Isfahan, I can serve him. This is the benefit of technology. Technology is not bad. Technology can serve the purpose of our creation. Technology has so much advantages. It's about the ethics and the etiquettes of the use of technology. With this, sorry, I even didn't mean to speak that long. Thank you for your patience. Inshallah, the rest of it, I'll leave it for the Q&A to explain. In a nutshell, the summary of what I'm talking about, I believe technology is an ideal tool if it is used. And yes, it's very destructive, and that has to be broken within us if it is abused. What we need, I've mentioned this a couple of years ago for the teachers at the Imam Hussein Islamic Center as well. We really need, and all our pedagogical system, institutions, all schools, they need to add a subject, a module, we call it ethics and etiquettes of technology. Properly has to be taught, properly has to be our kids from a very young age, as they learn how to use the technology, laptop, mobile, and the rest, they definitely, along with that, they need to be educated wisely, logically, philosophically. They need to know, why is it that I'm not allowed to abuse? What's the problem of abusing this? One of the things I told you that I want to conclude, but I want to conclude with what I started. Remember the dua of Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam comes handy here, that Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, as part of educating ourselves and our kids, we need to always remind this, that as soon as I get to my laptop and my mobile and any means of technology, remember that dua of Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salam, that the Imam says that lam yakhlu anhu shay'un fis samawati wal ard. There is absolutely no privacy. When it comes to technology, when you go to internet, there's absolutely no privacy. Don't be fooled by full encryption. God is watching you. Alam ya'lam bi'anna Allah yara. God is watching you. As someone who's God conscious, make your kids God conscious so that they are conscious that God is with me, God is watching me. God knows every single cell of my mind as is thinking. God is aware of that. And God is nearer to me than the Jebel. How we can educate ourselves and educate our kids about how to use the technology to the, inshallah, to the advantage. Jazakumullah khairah. Thank you very much for your participation, your patience, and inshallah, you're at your service. If there is any question or comment, sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. And so far, I haven't been sent any questions, so I'll give a few minutes for everyone to think about their questions. I just wanted to, I know you started with the story about Imam Hassan Center and coming here and reciting the azan on the first day there. I need to make it clear, I think, to everybody there, you inspired for the setup of Imam Hussein Islamic Center and then Imam Hassan Center, and it was your push for the cemetery at Castle Hill. And Alhamdulillah, you've left a legacy here that we all are taking advantage of. So with that, I really am appreciative of everything you've done. Yes, we don't have you here physically, but we have you here virtually. So since I've got your attention and no one is, I'll just keep checking. Here we go. Best to use moderately and not second one. So I'm just waiting for, just trying to understand this question. And act every, okay, I'll send you the question. I'll just copy and paste it here. It's a statement rather than a question. It's from Sister Zainab. She's saying that it's best to use it moderately and not every second of your life. I think that's the general consensus. The idea of this topic, Sheikh, came when we had a bit of a laugh because I think your laptop stopped working when we started discussing this topic.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and we were making, I think, as you know, I love technology, but I think that we are giving more praise to the technology than the people who use it. And I think one of the statements we were discussing when we were having our phone call was that Nabi Musa with his stick was able to part seas and do other things, but it wasn't the stick, it was Nabi Musa and his relationship with God. I think, I'm not saying that the technology is that stick in any way, shape or form, but we shouldn't let the technology become greater than the people who are using the technology.
Maybe, Abbas, I give you another example from the Quran. I'm not sure actually it is exactly from, part of it is definitely from the Quran, but whether the second part is superstition or not, but it can be used in our example. The story of Prophet Solomon. You know that Prophet Solomon had a ring, and that ring was doing amazing things, similar to the stick of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Now, they say that apparently once the jinn, they stole the ring of Prophet Solomon. and they tried to use it as much as they tried to use it. They were actually abusing it. It was very destructive. So the ring in the finger of Solomon was a miracle of God, and in the hand of the devils, it became so-called miracle of the devils. Subhanallah, perhaps that ring is a good example of today's technology. You're right, it depends who uses it and how it is used.
It's also, I think there's a story that was written about Ayatollah Khomeini at the time of the war between Iran and Iraq, that the enemies were surprised that he knew where to move his troops in advance of everyone, considering at that time Iran was not having any access to satellite information or other things. And then the foreign forces decided that they thought that his tasbih that he had in his hand had special magical powers, and was giving him the information that there was an attempt to steal that tasbih from his hands. So technology in the hand of a person who's close to God can be anything, be it a stick or a tasbih.
Understand. With what we have seen and we have witnessed from some of the awliyaullah at our time, like for example the numbers of examples from Imam Khomeini rahmatullah that you mentioned, examples from the life of Salah Ayatollah Bahjat that we have seen. Human technology cannot even think of reaching there yet. Human technology is not even in elementary stages.
My last question, Sheikh, is that you gave a lecture many years ago about our 12th Imam, that when he comes to us, that he will elevate our level of technology to beyond our any thought process that we are today. So one, if you could briefly touch on that, and two, if the 12th Imam came today and people didn't understand his technology, would people treat him the way scientists were treated in the past, when they showed intelligence beyond the capabilities of people and were either imprisoning them or killing them?
All right. As for the first one, yes, there's a hadith that when Imam Zaman at Jalallah Fajr Sharif appears, he will have his hand on the head of mankind, and they reach the excellence of their knowledge, something like this, the translation says. And if I'm not mistaken from my memory, the hadith says that by the time that Imam Zaman appears, man's technology even has not reached like 1/10 of it, compared with what man will achieve at the time during the time of the appearance of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. So that means that in terms of the knowledge, of course, that is not limited to technology. I must mention these. It's not limited to technology. It could also mean man's intellect, man's insight, man's understanding of religious concepts and God, so that they are prepared for Imam Mahdi to come. So that hadith is there. That is one side. And the second is that to stand against Imam Zaman and Jalallah Farajah Sharif at the time of his reappearance would not be very common, similar to the previous Imams, because remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is one of the reasons for long major accommodation. At the time that Imam Zaman and Jalallah Farajah Sharif will appear, there will be a global preparation, a global readiness for the reappearance of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, and that's why that يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, in groups and nations, people will embrace, inshallah, Islam in its complete name.
Inshallah. Shaykh, with that, I'd like to thank you very much. Could I request if you could just send that dua of Imam Hassan alayhi salam in the translation if you can, and I'll share it on our Facebook page at a later time. But thank you very much for joining us there. I know it's in the middle of your fast. How many hours before you finish still?
Another 4 hours.
You have a lot more energy than I have even after my iftar. But may Allah always...
Believe me, compared with those who are in UK, we are not doing anything much.
Thank you very much. May Allah look after you and bless you. And inshallah, one day we'll get to hopefully see you back in Australia again.
Inshallah, I'll see you in Mashhad. And thank you very much, Ajab.
Inshallah. Per Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali. As always, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you, Sheikh.